On time again. It's got to be some kind of record or something. Welcome. It's me, your boy, Aaron. How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of Mastermind Academy. Welcome to the Python Bootcamp. I know some people are getting confused between the Python and the DevOps one. Tonight, we're talking about Python. Python gets the prime time hours. It gets the Monday and the Wednesday at prime hours. How's everyone doing tonight? Check in. Yo, what's up? Nameless Thug Zero. What's that? Giovanni CLT. Yo, how you doing? Hey, Amani, what's up? It's good to see you. How you doing tonight? Bedwars89. Hello. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a great night. Hope everyone enjoyed that nice warm weekend if you're on the East Coast. Pretty nice. Hopefully everyone's Monday was peaceful. Was peaceful. You know, I had a lot of work to do today, but it's all good. Got a lot done. Doing all right. Just ate, so I might catch the itis. Yeah, so I gotta be honest with you. That's usually the 10 minutes that where this starts and the intro music is playing. That's usually me scarfing down food after the gym. Today I actually didn't go to the gym. I'm actually switching up my schedule a little bit to make things a little bit easier. I'm gonna start trying to work out in the morning and try to. I don't know. I'm trying to break up the day in a little bit better way, a little bit more an efficient way. So I'm going to try that tomorrow. So I had to take this evening off so that I could go in the morning. There's just some things that are happening in the evenings that I need to be a part of. So yeah, comparatively warm. It was nice. It was nice outside. You smell what the python is cooking. I have to work out in the AM. Yeah, I definitely much prefer to work out in the morning. But I was working out in the afternoon only to break up my day job. So I wake up, go to work, come here to Fearless. When Fearless was done, it was a nice mental break to go to the gym in between and kind of separate that day from the mastermind stuff, this academy stuff. But I think I'm gonna have to switch that up. I think there are some better ways to do that. I much prefer to work out in the morning. It gives you a little more energy throughout the day. Oh, excuse me. I just hope that when I get here, when we go to do the streams, that I'm not super tired like I am sometimes when the day is long and I work out in the morning. So yeah, definitely it gives you a big boost. I definitely enjoy it. It makes the beginning of the day much easier. So tonight, what are we doing tonight? Let's pull up the curriculum as usual. Make sure we have all the information that we need. The good thing about the good thing about this bootcamp in comparison to the DevOps bootcamp is almost always, probably except that when we're doing the projects, almost always we'll be able to make it out of here. And I've been sticking around for a little bit longer, but the content for this bootcamp is a lot easier to get through in an amount of time, just because, again, we're taking this one. This is an intro to coding, and we're only focusing on coding for 12 weeks, so we can take our time with each of the topics. Oops, mic up here. So we can take our time a little bit with each of the topics. So we can, we can get through the teaching of it pretty fast. And after that, we can just practice it for a long amount of time and we can ask questions. We can go through more of those things. So my goal tonight is to, again, just for time's sake, as usual, I keep saying I'm going to keep making that promise to you for this bootcamp. I will not make this promise for the DevOps bootcamp, is to get you out of here by 10 or be done with the main functionality of the lesson by 10, so everyone can kind of hit the bed, get your sleep for the next day. I won't keep you around. If you want to stay around and you want to chat, feel free to do so. But yeah, so tonight, what do we have? We're finally getting into Python. We haven't actually talked about we actually haven't gotten into a lot of Python code yet. But we're going to be talking about how we get input to a program, how to display output, which is kind of one of the most common things you're going to be doing with an application. Variables, which are super important, and fun with strings. So tonight we're gonna mess around with some strings, let you get your hands on some strings and kind of play with them, kind of learn how they work, kind of see how they act when you do certain things to them. But again, a lot of this stuff is what we did last night. Again, I told you there will be a lot of overlap this week in both courses. The DevOps course is actually moving a lot faster because I'm teaching you like the first 6 or 7 weeks of this course in 2 days. And the Golang one, that one's not intended for you to really pick up the concepts of coding. It's to introduce them to you and give you the runway to dive further. This is really so we can practice, we can take our time, so you can understand the stuff. So if you watched last night, this will basically a practice session of the same stuff, but specifically with Python instead of Golang. And it'll be fun. So we'll be doing, again, strings. How do we get stuff? Displaying output, what does that mean? Is how do we get things onto the screen? How do we display things? How do we get it to look the way we want? So we're talking about formatting, how to format output, things like that. What are variables? Variables are a huge part of every programming language. It's kind of the base of coding. Well, it's one of the base tools used in programming, so you need to know how to use those. We'll learn how to use those, and strings. So pretty straightforward, a lot of cool stuff. Got a few slides. Let's pull those up, but we don't need to rush tonight. Give people a few minutes to kind of get settled, get on. Probably start around 8:10. Let's see. Get in here. Drive is where we want to go. This drive doesn't have all of the. I have 2 drives now, and this does not have all of my slides in here, but I know it has today's slide. I'll share it with you as usual. Usually people ask for the slides here. Every time, get shareable link. I gotta think and figure out what I did last time to get it to go. More. Anyone with the link? Save. Copy link. Paste it up here, and we're good to go there. Hard to work out in the AM. Yes, it is hard it's very hard to start waking up, but once you can just get yourself out of bed, I'm telling you, it's such a big advantage if you can get there in the morning. You got the boost for make your mind sharper. Nope, you didn't miss anything yet, D Flair. We're taking our time. We're gonna get ready in a second. Like I said, I'm gonna probably get started around 8:10. Around 8:10. Tonight should be pretty. We should be able to get through everything, no problem. Got that. Is formatting similar to C formatting? Not in Python, it's not. No. So we did Go last night for the for the DevOps bootcamp, and that functionality, that formatting is very similar to C formatting. This formatting is much simpler. You do not have as many options, and you'll see it'll be a lot easier. What do I do for a living? So I'm a DevOps engineer. I'm a technical lead and DevOps engineer for a company called Fearless. Hey Poison, thank you for the follow. But a company called Fearless out in Baltimore, Maryland, software company. We do kind of digital transformations within the government. And so I work here. I actually work on a project, basically working with the Small Business Administration. But we work with all kinds of different government organizations, really making kind of digital agile transformations within them, showing them how to, how to get agile, how to get effective, how to move faster. So it's been pretty cool. That is what I do for a living. I didn't talk about that here. That's my background. Maybe it's a good time to share. My background's actually, I started out as like a Linux administrator. So I kind of started out on the system side of things. Well, desktop support. I started out in desktop support, moved from desktop support to Linux administration. Linux administration, like systems engineering roles. So I'm definitely an ops. I have an ops background. I'm a DevOps engineer with an ops background as opposed to a dev background. Did some system engineering stuff. DevOps started to become a thing. Decided to, dive back into learning code. Something I had started to do, but never really gotten really proficient at. Did that, learned some automation tools. I really learned the ethos of DevOps, and now I am where I am now. So that's how I got here. I went on a 5-day split to like May, June. Oh yeah, for working out. Yeah, missed DevOps last night, but it's all good. Some good stuff. Yeah, you should be able to check it out if you need to check it out. I'm rendering out everything now so they can go up on YouTube. So YouTube should be caught up tonight with all the streams that have happened so far. So watching your previous DevOps bootcamps on YouTube, I was wondering if there are any differences between the old and new one you're doing. Yes. So actually, it's going to be very interesting the way you're watching them. So I'm actually going to be replacing, as we record new videos, I'm actually going to be replacing the ones that are in that playlist. So there are differences. There's differences in the way that we do things, not necessarily the concepts. The concepts have stayed pretty standard, same thing as the list before. But the way that we're practicing them, the way that we're implementing them is a little bit different. So So that's where you'll get. I think this one time around, took the things that we learned, made some adjustments, but I will be replacing them. So you might get to a point where you see like things shift a little bit to the different look or whatever, but it should be much similar content. The content should be pretty similar, so you shouldn't be too thrown off for that. That progress quickly disappearing. Yeah, doing more shock lifting and more control. There's so many ethoses on like how to work out and all this other stuff. I'm trying to figure it all out myself. But I really just once you get your eating under control, everything's kind of for me, at least for my body type. Everyone's a little bit different. If I can eat right, everything will be great. And I eat right in spurts. But if I can really get disciplined in my eating, it'll be all good. All right, let's go ahead and let's get started tonight. So we can take our time, we can practice, we can do some stuff. Let's code. Strings, variables, displaying output, and getting user input. Tonight we're gonna finally be writing some Python code. I would like you, if hopefully you were able to get Python installed last time. I want you to follow along with me if you can. But again, it's not super important. If you're someone who likes to just listen and watch for now and you want to try this stuff out later, all good, whichever way you like to learn, but feel free to follow along and try to do this stuff yourself. But again, focus on the concepts tonight. If you can't get something to run, don't sweat it. I promise you, there will be times when you simply missed a character, you missed something here or there, and you might think you're doing something way wrong, and it's just, something super simple. Use the Slack. If you're in the Discord, the few people who are in the Discord, because I only shared the link out once, I can get that again tonight before the stream is over. Share it in the community and see if you can get help later on. Take screenshots, write down questions, but focus on the concepts and not necessarily the syntax and everything that we're doing to get things to run. So we're gonna start with strings. We've talked about strings already. This is one of the data types that we talked about. Remember, we talked about numbers, which are integers and floats, and words. And so remember, I said strings are, think words and phrases. So strings are simply a sequence of characters, including spaces, numbers, and symbols. Think words and sentences. So when you think of the word strings, you're going to hear strings a lot in your programming career, in your tech career. Think words and sentences. When you see quotes, think string. I say quotes in general because different languages do different things. In Python, both single quotes and double quotes are strings. Other language, not so much, but I think it's a safe bet to kind of think, when you see quotes, to think string. It's a good identifier, especially double quotes. Go ahead and think string. And you can see here, this is a string in Python with the quotes here, and this is also a string. So again, this is just a data type. And think words and phrases. Super important. Think things like your name. Think things like if you want to say something to the user, say a sentence to the user, that is a string. And why do we talk about strings first? We talked about strings first because tonight we're going to be displaying output. Very simple. One of the things that you want to do with your code is, again, all programming is giving instructions to the computer so that it can programmatically perform a task and automatically perform a task. Hey, Evil, want a candy too? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. But we're going to now be displaying some output here. So how do we go ahead and display output in Python? Very, very, very simple. I also use this heading for the Go one, but I said just print it. Very simple. I said just print it. And here, it is just print. The way that you are able to print code is to use the function, and we'll talk about what functions are a few streams from now, but we'll be using the print function. So print in Python, the print function allows you to display output to the screen or standard output. And so these are three examples of printing something. So print hello world. So that's commonly the first program you write, and we're about to write our own hello world in the editor. I'll open up VS Code and write it. I'll try to remember to use VS Code tonight and not Vim. And I'll show you how to run it. So I'll show you how to write Python code in an editor, how to open up a file and set that up and run it. And then this is just also two other print statements. So as I'm running through these things, again, hark back to the concepts that we've already been taught. We know what a string is. You see these quotes here? You know that's a string. Your mind should be making those connections. A string here, a string here. This one is missing some quotes. What kind of data type do you think this is? Not super important that you get it right now, but I'm just saying, these are the kinds of things I want you to think of as we're going through these. This is an integer. It is different, and so because it's different, just pay attention to how it prints out. Maybe it prints different, maybe it doesn't, but I want you to start just noticing things like that. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get it going. Let's go ahead down here. Let's open up a terminal. I'll open up VS Code. Like I said, we'll run VS Code for now. CD. I think I set up a thing for Go yesterday. What is it? Mastermind. I'm struggling with CSH. Still, I need to switch back to Bash permanently. What did I do? Oh yeah, CD streams. Whoa, man. CD streams, and let's go ahead and make dir Python. CD Python. All right. So ignore all that. All I did was just go into my terminal and create a folder. You actually don't need to do that at all. If you use, if you're comfortable with the terminal already, you can just type, I think by default, I don't know if Macs can do this by default. I'll show you how to do it on a Mac in a second, but you can type in code, which will start up VS Code. And if you add a dot, it'll open it up right where you are now. But don't try to do that if you aren't familiar with the command line or the terminal. Not a big deal. Simply go to, open up VS Code on your computer. So this is me going to my launcher and clicking VS Code. However you do it on your Mac or your PC. Go ahead and open it up. Go ahead and either create a folder or find a folder that you want to work out of. So this already opened it up where I wanted it to open. Oh no, my sucks. Every now and then I'm running a Synergy server so that I can share my mouse and my keyboard between my Windows PC and my Linux PC, and sometimes it dies on us, so no big deal. I can type like this. So open it up, just get it open, just open up your text editor. Again, this is just a program that you can go ahead and you can edit text with. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and open up a new file. So we're going to open up a brand new file, start a brand new file, and we're going to call it hello-world.py. You can actually call it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you like, but it needs to have this .py extension. So that is the extension for a Python application or a Python file. So for the Python interpreter to be able to go ahead and read that, it needs to be a .py file. And we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And now we've got our own Python.py service up and running. Actually, let me see if I can get this back up and running real quick. Stop. What if my IP address changed? Or if this service messed up. All right, that's annoying, but we'll stop that now. We'll try it again later. I will just not use, I'll set this keyboard off to the side. I'll move my laptop a little bit closer to me, and we will use this. So cool. So like I said, you can call it hello-world.py. And when you do that, it'll open up your file over here. So now you can edit it. You might not see something like, I have this icon here. I think I showed you guys how to use these icons last time, but your icon might not look like that. But that's just letting me know that the editor knows that it's a Python file for me. So very simple. Let's go ahead and write our very first Python application. You can go ahead and you can just do print. So we said that print function, and we can look back up. I could just copy and paste, but go ahead and try practicing typing it in and print. And so print is a function. Again, tonight, you don't need to know what a function is, but something I'll preface functions, get into the function section for you. Whenever you see an open quote and a close quote, function, that's a function needs that denotes a function is the open parentheses, not quote, sorry. Open parentheses and close parentheses, and that's what makes it a function. So we installed the Python extension last time, so it'll give me a lot of information here. Don't sweat that. It's just telling me kind of what print does. I know it can be very confusing to read. You do not have to worry about it right now, but if you ever do need to reference something, there will be a point where you get to where this stuff is valuable for you. But right now, no big deal. It's just telling me what I can do in here if I'd like. Like I said, even though it's confusing, but we're just going to print out hello world. And again, we're going to print out the string hello world. So this is commonly everyone's first application. So go ahead and print hello world and an exclamation point. And once you've got that done, once you have it looking like this and you save it, you've written your first Python application. Pretty simple. Again, this is almost always like when you get to a new language, they'll just have you do this to be able to display output. They'll teach you how to display output in a new language. Usually it's hello world that you want to print out. And yeah, and that gets you up and running pretty quick. So how do you run this code? Now that we have it, I'll give people a little bit of time to type that in, get set up. But how do you run it? Once you get it set up, how do you run it? So like I said, you don't need a lot of command line chops to get through most of this, even though I've included some command line practice, I think in it was either in last week's or this week's Google Classroom for the Python course. But to be able to run it, we want to open up our terminal. So you can either use the one that's inside of VS Code. So we will be using our terminal now. I would recommend doing it right here in VS Code if you don't have any terminal experience, because it will open up the terminal in the exact place that you need it to be opened. As opposed to if you use an outside terminal, you have to navigate to where this is. So if you just hit Control and tilde, that's the squiggly line that's under your escape key with the backtick on it. If you hit Control and you hit tilde, it'll bring up a terminal. Yours may not look like mine. Actually, can I open up a bash one? Oh, good. This will still be fine, but it'll open this up. Now, when you press it, it should open you up to terminal, but it might have you on one of these other tabs. Just make sure your tab is on terminal. So all a terminal is, let me raise this up a little bit. All a terminal is, all a console is a, it's a shell interpreter that you can use to interact with your computer in the same way that you're doing when you're clicking around. So you can manage everything about your computer from this interface right here. Yeah, you can manage everything from it. In fact, a lot of servers, almost all servers, they don't even come with this graphic utility that you're seeing here. They just drop you into a terminal and you have to manage it from there. And that's what you get paid for. That's what people get paid for. So you open this up, it should put you to where your code is. And all you need to do to run a Python application is type in Python. So a lot of us, we're going to be typing in, just get in the habit of, I don't know how to install it on your computer, but you probably need to type in Python 3 to use Python 3 for anyone who still has Python 2 installed on their computer like me. So you type in Python or Python 3, preferably Python 3. If that doesn't work, again, just type in Python. And then the name of the file. So we called our file hello world.py. So this is all you need to do to run the application. You need to type in Python. So you need to basically invoke the application that's going to be interpreting this file. And then you need to tell it what file that it should read. And so now, as opposed to the interpreter, remember we actually have already written hello world in the interpreter before, and I can show you how to get back to the interpreter, but I want you to start seeing how to write files and how to start writing Python code in your editor and in your files. But we can just go ahead and hit enter, and you see we get some output. We get some output to the screen. So again, the print function, we learned prints output, and it prints it out right to the screen right here. Very, very simple. And what you can do is, I want you to mess around with it. Go ahead and click and change the words and see what happens. And don't worry about breaking it. But I did want you to see what would happen if, what happens if we printed out the string. What happens if we do something like this? And you can see how it changed colors. So it doesn't give us the same colors as the string was before. But I want you to just mess around like this. I want you to see how, just see some ways you can explore. So you can explore like this, and you can try to run it again. And it says, it says file hello world.py. It tells you what file we had a problem on. Again, these errors are sometimes hard to read. Again, this is not a concept that I want you to know now, but I want you to see that when there is an error, it'll look like this. And it says it's on line 1, and it's saying right here, this is invalid syntax. So you cannot print out something like this. We did not make it a string. It needs to be some type of valid data type in Python. Yeah, so we can just go ahead and make that a string again. But I think the second thing that we had on there was, what do we have? My name is Aaron. Yeah, so let's print out the string. My name is Aaron. So you try it with your name. You try my name is, and whatever your name is. So my name is Aaron. I'm gonna save it. Pretty simple. Again, a string. We're printing out a string. And run it again. And now, after I resave it, instead of printing out hello world, it prints out my name is Aaron. So you can see the print function prints out whatever you have inside of here. Now, the last thing we're going to do is print, at least for this piece, let's go ahead and print the number 2. So you can see here how, again, it's a different color. And when I highlight it, it lets us know that this is of type integer and not string. So if I put some quotes around it, let me put some quotes around it so I can make it a string. I put my mouse over it. It says, hey, this is a str. This is a string. But what does, we know, we've now learned that we can print strings, and a string will just print out as we enter it. But what happens when we print out something like an integer? What does that look like? And you print it out, and you see right here, we've got the number 2. Very simple. It prints out just like a string. Numbers print out just like strings, so don't sweat it. There's some caveats when we get a little farther along, but it does print out the same. So they don't print out a different way. You don't need to know any like gotchas for that. So very simple. We're gonna actually do some more different type of printing things tonight. I'm gonna stop there for a second. Take it in. If it's a super simple concept for you, excellent, 100%. I'm glad you got it. We're gonna move on to the next thing. Hopefully, each of the concepts are this simple. If you're still trying to look through it and get it, just again, try to take a look back at the like. Hopefully, you're able to follow along a little bit. I wish I could show you what I typed on each of these, but take a look at these and just kind of see if your brain can, see that you need these parentheses here to enclose the print function, and just like that, we can print out whatever string or number or other data types we would like. I'll show you how to print out other data types a little bit later and what they look like. Cool. Actually, again, because we're looking for this Lacroix sponsorship, if anyone out there is at Lacroix or knows anyone, actually, who's Lacroix's parent company? I don't know. Anyone at Lacroix? Tonight we have Lemon on deck. And this year, I'm going to be a little more open. I don't like berry, but I also didn't like Lacroix the first 18 times I had it. So my goal is to expand my horizons and give the berry a try as well. So tonight, we got lemon first. Lemon is the old faithful, and we'll do berry if we need to get to it. But yeah, if anyone's out there on that on the Lacroix train who can put me in touch with them, it will be a super weird sponsorship for anything, but it'd be cool. Again, I have them available to me where I work, so I use them for nice and easy, compact hydration usages. I guess I have bigger water bottles, but these are easier to drink on stream. But cool. Just take a look at that. Can you print a data type of a variable? Yes, you can print a data type of a variable. I like that. So let's do that in a second. I know Java has one. Cool. We're gonna do that. Should I have linter? PyLint installed? Not right now. Yes, it probably shows you a bunch of information like, oh, you don't have this installed. Not a big deal if you don't have it installed now at all. We'll talk about linters and all that stuff. Please put terminal.integratedFamily in your settings.json. Yeah, see, I don't even use VS Code, first off, so maybe I will do exactly that. I don't even really know where to find that. It's in my preferences, settings, search settings. Will that make my terminal look better? It better make my terminal look better. How do I workspace? How do I get to my settings.json? Tell me right. I'll do Shift Control P, and then type font or something. Control P. Let's type in font. Man, it's funny because as a Vim user, I feel so lost right now, even though I like this. Oh, they changed this. It used to open up as a JSON. I've seen this as a JSON, and that's why I was confused. Now what do I do? Yes, type JSON in there. Oh, edit and set it. Thank you. Oh man, you guys are killing it. Oh, what is this? Can I put anything in there? It just said font. It needs to go. Hold on. PowerShell's fine. Control P, then type in JSON or type font. JSON in there. You passed it. You passed it where I said font. So I did open up this, right? Wait, where was it? I opened up where it said font. So can I just put it right here in this settings.json right here? Is this right? Before I put it there, yes or no? All right, cool. And so you want me to put in, will this make my terminal look better? Terminal dot integrated dot font family. That's what the one you want. Oh, but I don't know what my font family is. I guess I could check my my ZSH. Man. So now everyone who's watching, this I use something called Vim to edit my text. But it's a terminal editor, and I told you to use VS Code, so I figured I should use VS Code. Right now, we're just trying to make this look a little bit better, so that the way that you can see my terminal look here, that it looks the same way. It uses the same fonts and looks the same way in my VS Code. So ZSH RC. This is not my. No, not this. Where's my, see, I don't even like ZSH. I'm not doing this right now. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. To be in your terminal, if you use hyper, oh yeah, I can check my hyper config. But I don't think my ZSH stuff is in there though. Oh, you're right. Font family, you are correct. And this is Vim. So this is the editor that I use. Yeah, so I think this is what, can I copy this whole thing? Will it take the whole thing if I copy the whole line? Ah, cool. Yeah, you just said it. I'll copy the whole line here. I think I can just copy it like this. I don't know if I can yank it. I might have to cat this out. To be honest, I don't think I can copy inside. Damn. Let's see. Scroll to the top. Yeah, I don't think, like the way my Vim is set up, I actually can't copy out of it like that. In the terminal, I'm gonna take, oh no. This really sucks not having my mouse working right now. Let's copy this. Let's put this in here. I probably don't, that seems right. Do I have to exit and come back in? No, because you're editing your workspace settings. Might need to go remove that last line tick. Or monospace, really? See, there's a lot of work. This is why you guys should just use Vim. Even though it's more work, but it's better work. It's work that I understand. I understand this too, but all right. So I've got an opening, I got a closing. Let's go with that. Let's kill this. Let's open it back up. Also, this is why you just shouldn't use ZSH, to be 100% honest with you. This is why we should just be using Bash. See that? See that? That's beautiful. You don't have to do anything. Like Bash is just better. It's far superior. You have to do double quotes in the beginning. That's double quotes. Oh, I have two double quotes in the beginning, but isn't that for, does the line not need quotes at all? Because I thought the whole thing had to be encased in quotes. But it ends. Okay, we'll see. We'll try that out. I thought it started with one, and see, like, where does this? Do I not need this end one either? Maybe just try keeping the first one. Okay, I'll save that. Whoa. Okay, so they did something. It broke it. We broke it. We'll just alternate. Yeah, open. So definitely need to open, but I think maybe I'll wrap the whole thing in singles and see what happens there. Let's try that. Oh no, that doesn't like that. Oh no, that fixed it. That did fix it. Okay, singles fixed it. Yeah, okay, thank you. Now my VS Code works. That was a fun exercise. Yeah, no, that worked. even though it showed me some errors there, we succeeded. Now, so actually, everything you all just saw, this is how work happens. This is how the tech industry is. You're like, let me Google some stuff. Let me mess around. Let me just try some things. There's a missing quote. Oh, there's an extra quote. Try this, escape that. And that is how we do our work, which is sometimes sad. Right now it's in your workspace, but that's cool. That's cool. This is in my workspace. How do I change it? How do I change it globally? You got to copy your global VS Code. Darn it, I shouldn't have closed that file. Man, this is a lot of work. You guys made me work too hard. Oh no. My settings.json. All right, I'm just not gonna, can I just not close this? If I just don't close this, am I fine? And I'll fix it later. In JSON. Man, man, you guys are really gonna make me use just type JSON. You guys are gonna make me use Vim and you're gonna be upset with me. Or go back to the guys. Click the user tab, not. Oh, this actually hurts. Like this actually is like, it's bothering me because this is so difficult. Oh, wait. So this is what I need. I need to put it here. This is where I need to put it. Yes. I'm gonna put it here because it feels like I should put it here. So this is not my, okay, all right. So this is where I need to put it. And I forgot what I need to do. Terminal, integrated, font family, paste, remove. What did I do? I did one on the outside. I guess I didn't even need to do that, but. Oh. All right, still works. I'm going with that. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'll leave it up just in case I'm wrong, but I think that's right now. That feels good. Cool. All right. Now that you guys saw me mess around a lot with VS Code, hopefully you can go mess around with your VS Code as well. Maybe you want to change your font family. Man, that was really, well, it wasn't difficult. I just didn't know what I was doing. If that's still in your workspace, that probably overwrites user space. All good. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal for me now. It'll be a big deal for me tomorrow when I hop back in VS Code. Well, tomorrow I'll be hopping into Vim. But yeah, honestly, I have no idea if that's right. I use Vim too. Excellent. All right. So let's clear this out. Let's close this down. And we did some print. Someone asked if we could print. What did we ask if we can print? I forgot where we started with this. We asked if we could print something very specific. Oh, the type. So you remember how I highlighted this and it told me what type it was? Can we print out what that is? So yes, there's a function that you can use called type. And again, remember I said functions have these parentheses, and this will tell you what type something is. So if I go ahead and I run this now, sorry, I'm in go mode. What did I call this? Hello world.py. It prints, it's always going to print it out like this. And this might be a little weird and uncomfortable for you to get used to at first, but it prints out class integer. So remember, we said this was a number, it is type int. So if we want to know what type something with quotes is, we can type in stuff in here and we can save it. We can print this out. And now we can see this is of type string. What if we do 3.5? What's that going to be? I'm not going to highlight it. See if you can think back to when we talked about data types. What do you think that's going to be? We print that out and it is type float. So decimal points are floats. So let me go back down. So you can use, there is a way for you to find out, you can print out the type of something by using the type, by just using the type function here to print that out. So hopefully that works for you. Anyway, we can avoid the real specific, highly technical, especially on Twitch chat. So yes, that's a very fair thing to ask. You're trying to learn strings. Yeah, so that's my bad. I shouldn't have dived that deep into terminal settings. But yes, now hopefully you know what a string is. Now you can see how you can check the type of something. Again, this is, what's the difference between float and a double? Is it how many bytes it is? Oh, I don't even know what a double is. Maybe what's a double? Let's see what that is, because this is important. Memory sign. It's probably, I'm assuming that's it's very similar to like an int32 versus an int64 or float64. In Python, it's probably memory allocation. But let's see, Python double. What is a double data type? I actually don't know anything about this. Float type has double precision. Yeah. And I didn't know this. I lied. If you need more precision, get NumPy and use NumPy. Yes, it allows you for more memory allocation for larger floats. Yes. Yep. Great question, and I'm perfect. All right, so we learned how to print. We learned how to display output so far. So now let's talk about variables, because we're gonna be using, usually you're gonna be using variables and displaying output kind of hand in hand. You're gonna use variables for just about everything, but we're gonna learn how to use variables to display output, but we're gonna learn about what variables are first. Very simply, variables. One, think about the word variable. The word variable means something that can change. It means something that can be changed. So again, think variable interest rates, things like that. Like I always like to say, continuously variable transmission, where it's always changing the ratios. So variable is something that can be changed. It's not constant. It's not static. It can be changed. But what a variable is think about a box. Think about a box. Conceptually, think about a box that is called something. Give the box a name. So this right here is a box called name. And so in that box, the box is a thing. It's kind of a placeholder, but by default, it doesn't really have any value. So it's a box called name. It's a variable called name, but we have to give it a value. So, or we can give it a value. So we assign the value Maria to box. So we throw Maria in the box, and now, whenever we reference name, whenever we reference the variable name, it now has the value of Maria. So instead of it being name, it's Maria now. But later on, let's say Maria wants to change her name to Sarah. Later on in life, she'll change her name to Sarah. She can change this variable from the variable name. That never changes, or that doesn't change here, but now we can change the value of what's inside of it to be Sarah. So every time we check for name, we'll get back the value Sarah. And I'm going to show you that real time, because it makes a little more sense when you see it real time. And we'll use specifically name. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and get back into our VS Code. Hey, Brandon O, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. So let's go ahead and set up a variable. So how do you set up a variable? The way that you set up a variable is you type in, oh no, you don't type in var. I'm thinking about JavaScript, and I'm thinking about Golang. All you do to set up a variable is just type the name that you want. So we want a variable called name, and we can set it up. So I think you can do var name. I think we'll check that out in a second. Again, I'm messing with so many programming languages at the same time right now. It doesn't change color, so maybe you can't. But just the example that I showed you, we set a variable called name. So that's now this placeholder, which on the left is this placeholder. It's this box. And we set it to the value of Maria. And again, it needs to be set to the value of the string Maria, because it needs to be an active data type. It needs to be a data type that exists. Maria without the quotes is actually not a data type that exists. It'll actually try to assume that Maria without quotes is actually another variable. So that's how you reference other variables. And it'll basically say, hey, Maria is not defined. It's not a thing that I know about, so it doesn't work. So I can set the value of Maria to name. And then what I can do is, what happens if we print name? So instead of printing Maria, we're gonna print name. What do you think we're gonna get back? So remember, we're gonna hit control tilde, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna kick this off. And so when we print it, so it's clear, and when we print it, what we get is, we get Maria. So it outputs Maria. So you can see here, try to make that connection here. We took this placeholder, we took this box, and we assigned a value to it. And then when we printed out that box, when we reference that box, it gave us the value rather than the box itself. So that's why a variable is cool. So look at this though. I said variables can change. So I had name Maria equals had name equals Maria. Now again, maybe later in life, name now equals Sarah. Maybe Sarah has an H on it, I don't know. And now we're gonna go ahead and print name again. So we assigned a value here. We're gonna display the output to the screen. Now we're gonna change the value of the variable, because again, variables can change. The values of variables can change. That's why the word is called variable. And then we're gonna print it out again and see what happens. So take a look at that for a second. See if you can figure out what it might do. Again, we signed it, we printed it, we changed the value, we're printing it again. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that's gonna do. It runs super quick, and you see here it prints out Maria, and then it prints out Sarah. And you can see here we referred to it by the exact same thing, because again we referred to it by that placeholder. So again, a variable is that box. Or think about the box. If you're really trying to understand it conceptually, think about the box, and we can fill a value. We can put a value inside of that box, and whenever we reference the box, it'll return us that value. It'll give us back that value, which is really cool. So this means that, like, again, maybe I'm running a program that does a bunch of different things where I have to use my name a lot. Now, instead of having to write, maybe if you know, my name's Aaron Brooks. Maybe if I have Maria Brooks and that's hard to type out, it's really annoying. Now, every time I need to print out my name throughout a program, or print out a name or use it for something, I can just reference it by name. Instead of having to type out, you know, Maria Brooks every time in my application. So variables are pretty cool. And they have three parts, three or four parts, 2 parts for now. They have 2 parts for now. So what you can see here is, and actually, let me see something really quick, because I actually haven't had to do this in a while in Python, so I don't even know if you can declare variable in Python. Can you just declare a variable? I'm sure you can. Python. Before I go into this next section, I just want to see. Oh wow, there's not. So you cannot declare a variable in Python. So there's not 2 or 3 steps. So in Golang, I taught you in Golang last night, if anyone's watching the Go course, that you can, okay, so I guess yes you can, but it looks like there's no explicit variable declaration. So in Golang, in other languages, you can declare a variable. So that's the first piece. That's saying, hey, I have the box. I have this box called name, and I'm letting the program know that this box is available. I want the program to know that I have box. I'm stating that I have this box, but it doesn't have value yet. And that's variable declaration. Then variable assignment is actually giving that box a value. That usually can happen in 2 pieces. It does not look like that can happen here. So it looks like, okay, assigning it. So yes, you can declare a variable that has a none type. But to me, that's still, I don't know. To me, that's definitely still assignment. Like, you have to explicitly assign the value none. It doesn't get that by default. But I guess you could do that. People are saying that you can basically set up a variable and assign it the value of none, or assign it an empty value. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that as being able to declare a variable, especially when this says there's no variable declaration in Python. You just assign a value to the variable and it comes into existence. So I guess we could argue over the semantics of that. But basically, two things are happening when we just did what we did over, where do we do that at? I thought we did it here, but 2 things are happening when we set up this name variable. We are declaring a variable. So you'll hear that terminology a lot. You'll hear like, did you declare the variable? Is the variable declared? Or you need to declare a variable here. So saying name saying name is declaring the variable, and assigning it to a value again is assigning a variable, assigning a value to a variable. So it's basically assigning the value of what's on the right to the variable name that's on the left. So again, be something like Aaron, maybe to make a couple more variables that might be different. So is my age is 29. And again, notice how these are different colors because these are two different data types. This one is a string. This one is an integer. And I could say another one like home. Where's my home? I could say Maryland. Yeah, and things like that. So you can see how you set up these boxes and they represent values. You can assign values and then they can change. So next year, a year has passed and now my age can now equal 30. And so that can change throughout the entirety of the program. It is allowed to change. Yeah. So our strings are immutable in Python. Yes, they are immutable in Python, I believe. Yep. Because variables in Python can change type depending on what gets assigned to it. Yes. Declaring equals setting a variable type. No, not quite. Declaring. This actually is a tough concept when you have to assign it a value, even if that value is none. But declaring is creating the space for a variable to be used. Saying, hey, I need to use a variable called age. Like just simply putting it here is really declaring it. But it looks like in this setup, I'm both declaring it and assigning a value. So other languages, it would be something like this. And I do think this is an important concept because you will absolutely hear this when people are asking questions or you're going through things. But it will be something like variable name. And it's basically saying, hey, I have a variable called name. It doesn't have a value yet, or the value is of whatever the none type is or the 0 value. But later on, I can give it a value. So I can now say name equals Aaron. And the difference between these two things would be here, I'm declaring that I have a variable to be used, setting up space and memory for it. And here is where I actually assign it a value. This is doing both at the same time. This is both saying, hey, I'm declaring that I have a variable called name, and I'm also assigning it a value of Aaron, of string Aaron. So yeah, those are kind of the two main parts of a variable. Again, declaration and assignment. Declaration and assignment are the two pieces of variables. What else do we need to know about variables? Again, you saw how you could print it. So again, something like age equals 29. We saw how we could just print age, and now that is how we can go ahead and we can print. Why won't this go away? Hey, Gooby Googler, thank you for the follower. So now you can see here, I've printed out my age, which is 29. So you can use that like putting a string in here. So this. I could also print out 29 by just putting 29 in here. But again, then I couldn't reference this value anywhere else. This will be a one-time use if I did it this way. But now I can reference my age of 29 as many times as I want later in my code if I need to. And you'll see why that is useful as we dive a little deeper tonight. So what's next? So variables are an important concept. The only reason I actually would like to spend a little more time on variables, but because we're going to be using variables for all of this stuff, taking what you have so far, and we're going to be putting variables in all of these things so you can kind of see how they play out maybe through a few more problems. But I want to make sure we can get through all of them. Declaring a variable will be something like in age in Java, yes. And then age 29 would be assigning it. It can be confusing. It can definitely be confusing in understanding the difference between those two. Again, I think terminology is important. I think understanding the difference is important because there will be times when some languages allow it, but you'll have set up a variable but never have given a value to it, or you'll see an error that says variable declared but never used or something like that. So I want you to know what you're seeing and what you're reading when those things happen. Does the reference to the variable have type? I'm not sure I understand your question, Mondragon. Do you mean does name? So something like, are you asking like what is the type of age? it should print out what the type of the value is. I believe, why is this? Okay. Yeah, so it will reference the container does not have a type. It will only do that. Oh, so yes, it is a pointer. Variables are pointers. I think that's a little. I don't think that's super important for this course. It is a pointer. Yeah, it is a pointer. I thought you were looking for whether or not the actual type of the variable would be different from the value inside. But yes, it is just a pointer to this thing, to this place in memory here. So again, remember I said we'll focus on the concepts, write down the things that you hear that you don't necessarily know. Write down pointer. I think that's something good for you to look up. They definitely go over pointer in the base CS podcast that I shared in the Google Classroom. So yeah, so I think that's a good place to learn. I don't think pointers are super important, a super important concept for Python in particular, or for, I guess, introduction to programming. I don't think pointers are super important, but yeah. You can't assign a variable to you can't assign a variable to null type. You can assign a variable to a null type. I'm pretty sure in Python you should be able to assign a variable to null type. Something like what are the null types in Python? I think you could do something like none, and I'm pretty sure you could do this. And it is of type none type in here, so you can absolutely do that. Or like a null type, and yeah, is so none. You saw that there is a none type, so you can actually do that as well in Python. Cool. What was the next piece we were looking at? Oh, so playing with some strings. So we're gonna mess around with some strings a little bit more. The reason we're gonna be messing around with strings a little bit more is because you can do a lot of things with strings, and you're going to be doing a lot of things with strings, a whole lot of different things with strings. You're gonna be using them to build out output. You're gonna be using them to modify data and to translate data a lot. So you need to know how to mess around with them, and you need to know how to change them. So the first thing we're going to talk about is string concatenation. So now we're getting into some terminology. Something I definitely want you to remember. I want you to remember the word string concatenation. You're going to hear concatenation in your career. You're going to hear it as you're talking about learning how to code. But what is string concatenation? String concatenation is simply the operation of joining strings together end to end. What does that mean, and why would you want to do that? I'll show you. So you can do it actually in a couple different ways, but we're going to do it the most simple way right now. Let's say we have two strings, and now we know, first let's do it with two regular strings, and then we'll do it with some variables, just so you can see the differences between those, if there are any. But let's print two different strings. Let's say the first string is, hi, my name is Aaron. And let's say the second string that we want, let's say we had two strings like this, and the second thing we were printing out was, and I am a cool guy. Simple. So let's say we have this. Let's take a look at this. We can go ahead and run it, and we can see two different lines that spell cool wrong. But it says, hey, my name is Aaron, and I'm a cool guy. Let's say we want to combine those on one line. I could just put these together, but the way that you can combine two different strings is you can simply add them. We haven't learned about math operators yet, which we will, but you can just add two strings together. So I can say plus, and I am a cool guy. And now this is an impractical. This is you wouldn't do this. You would not do this. But we're gonna get into some variables. We're gonna get some other things. You would not do this, but there will be lots of times you need to build out a string, and this is how you can combine them. And so you just use a plus. You just add them together like they're numbers. And you can see here, hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a cool guy. You can see how it added it. Make sure you put in all the characters you want, because if I just did this without any spaces in between, it would go ahead and it would line them up end to end. And remember, this is the operation of joining strings together end to end. So really simple, super duper simple there. you just add one to the other, and that is string concatenation. We'll stop there for a second. If you want to play around with it, see if you can just combine two strings. You can do it with variables. Actually, let's do it with variables really quick. So maybe I wanted to say, instead of this, I wanted to say name equals, or let's set up a variable called greeting, and we're gonna set that equal to my name is Aaron. Actually, let's say the greeting is hi, my name is, and name equals Aaron. And I could go ahead and I could simply combine these. So first we'll call greeting, and then we'll delete this, and we'll simply add it to name. And so these are both strings. These are both of type string. Both of these variables are of type string. So you can add those things together. You can concatenate those strings. And if you go ahead and you print it out, it does it the same way. Hi, my name is Aaron. It simply appends this to this, and now we have a full string. You can do it. You can add more. It doesn't need to just be two. And I am 29. And you can do plus age. And print that out. And so you can see here, I didn't put a space in there, but you can see here, you can continue to just keep adding them together. Fairly simple concept here. Fairly simple concept. If you want to concatenate strings, big word for a very simple concept. You want to add strings together. You want to combine strings together end to end. All you have to do is use the plus symbol. And again, there are a few more ways to do it, but right now, all you need to know is plus symbol, and you can add strings together and get them to be end to end. So very cool thing you can do with strings. Very, very, very cool thing you can do with strings. Is this working now? No, it's not. All right. Yeah, we concatenate them. We string them together just like this. That's what I just showed you. String one, the string of string one plus the string of string two would equal string one plus string two. And we just did what about variables inside of strings. So this is a new concept. So we just learned the concept of string concatenation. We're gonna learn one more big word right here. We're gonna learn one more big word. So the big word we're gonna learn now is string interpolation. So this is instead of having to, sometimes you don't always want to build a string like this. Sometimes you might have something like here is the greeting, and you'll be building out something like this. And you'll be building out a message, or you'll be building out a string that you need to do. And like this works, you can add a string to a variable as long as that variable is a string. But sometimes this is really annoying. And sometimes a variable will be doing something else, or there'll be a function or something. But you don't want to have to add them all together. You kind of just want to them to work. You want to kind of make one big string like this, but you want greetings and you want age. You want all these things. So there's some times when you want these things to be evaluated. Like you don't actually want greeting to be evaluated as a string or name to be evaluated as a string. You want to input basically these variables, and you want it to be interpreted. This is a process that happens in all programming languages, but this is called string interpolation. And again, that is a process of substituting variables, substituting the values of variables into placeholders for the string. So there are actually a few different ways to do this. And let me see actually how, okay, there are a few ways to do this. We'll go back up here, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna interpolate some strings really quick. So let me hold on for a second. Let me get a little bit of water. Hi, my name is Giovanni. I'm a cool guy that worked. Yes. I want to write a name. Weren't you doing Go? Yes. So Go is a part of the DevOps bootcamp. And so that's Tuesdays, that's Sundays and Tuesdays. And Python is, the Python bootcamp is Mondays and Wednesdays. We can concatenate ints with strings. Great question. That's a great question. Before I do this interpolation, let's try that real quick, because that's a good question that I missed out on. Let's try that real quick. Ints with strings. Someone just asked if we could concatenate ints and strings. And we don't need this here for right now. Wow. So we want to print the string. This is a string. And let's say we want to concatenate that with the number 5. So that's an integer. What happens if we do this? This is an excellent question. And we print it out and we get an error. And the error tells us, where it is on line 1. And it says can only concatenate string, not int to string. And remember what the definition of concatenation was? It was the operation of joining strings together end to end. Now, there are ways to make this work that we're going to go into after string interpolation. There's another big word in here that you're going to have to remember in a second. So this, we can do it a couple different ways. And maybe this is we can do string interpolation a couple different ways. You can do it by formatting output, but I think you can just, let's add in our stuff here. Let's add our name back. And let's add our age back, because those are just easy variables to work with. Again, remember those are called variables. And in Python, actually, let's see how you did in Python. My name is, I think you can just do this. Name, you see I changed colors. And my age is age. So I'm pretty sure this will work. I have to close the thing. So you can see here now, instead of having to concatenate strings, instead of having to, add my name is to name, and then add name to, and my name is, and add age to that, we can do it like this. And I think this works. I'm pretty sure this is the right syntax. And when I run it, it doesn't work, because that's not how you do it. I think I had to do an F for this. Let's actually look this up, because every time like I said, I'm working with a lot of coding languages right now, so I always forget. That works, but that's the next piece we're going to go to, is string formatting. How do we do this? Is this the only way to interpolate? There's another way to interpolate in Python, isn't there? Let me see. This is the cost of working with JavaScript every day now. Interpolation. Let me do Python 3 string interpolation. That really sucks. I thought there was another way. So it is F strings now in Python 3. Or %s or format. Okay. Interesting. I thought there was a simpler way of string interpolation in Python. I don't know why I did. Again, it's probably because I'm messing with Go and stuff. So then we can hop right into string formatting and talk about some of the other ways to interpolate this stuff. So you can see here, this worked now. So if you want to interpolate a string, interpolate variables in strings, you can add this F to the front. So think about F being for format. So basically, you write a normal print statement, and you can actually see here. Let's clear this out. When we run this as is, it goes ahead, and even though it changed colors here, it prints out exactly what's passed into those strings. It doesn't assume the value of this variable. It doesn't give us the value and interpret the value of this. To do that, you need to put these curly braces around the thing that you want it to interpret. So it needs to know which things in here are variables. So you put the curly braces around the variables or the thing that you want it to evaluate, and you just add a little F here right in front of the entire string. And if you do that, you can go ahead and you can see it get interpolated. I think there's another way. There's a format function to do this as well. So this can be a little bit complicated. I think you just do that format. You put these little you still put these curly braces here, and then you tell it which things to fill those curly braces with. This feels like it might be right. Let's see if it runs, and then if this works, we'll explain it. So this works. This works, and let's explain what's happening here. So both ways are ways that you can format a string. And so they're very similar. But what happens here is I have my string, and everywhere that I want to insert a variable, everywhere I want to insert something to be formatted, I put these curly braces here so that it will interpolate what I pass into it everywhere I want it to go. Then I call this dot format function. And then in the order that these curly braces are, I need to put in the things that I have here. So you might say, oh, how does it know to put name first and then age? You can see here that if I put age first and then name, it will fill it out incorrectly. So my name is 29 and my age is Aaron. Again, you need to put them in the exact same order that you need them to be displayed in. So that is another way to do it. So those are two ways. Let's make two different lines showing the two different ways to do it. And let's make this correct again. Name, comma, age, and next line. And man, I need some keyboard shortcuts here. Put in age, name, and F. So I think most commonly you're going to see, I see the F a lot more than I see the format one. So this is the one I commonly see the most. And sometimes I see this. But you can see here, these are two different ways to write the exact same piece of code. They print out the exact same thing, but they look a little bit different. This is a concept that applies across the board in all coding languages. And this is why coding can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, is that there are a lot of ways to perform the same thing. Whether or not something's right or wrong depends on the use case. It depends on learning, what the caveats are of each different way. So that to me, that's the hard part of learning how to code is like, one of the Zen things on the list, on that list of Python principles or whatever it was, there should be one right way to do something. And it's like obviously right way to do something. And it's like, is there? I don't know. No, the answer is there's not. But even though the ethos is that there should be, but yeah. So those are two different ways. So I'll let you just take a look at it. Sometimes it's helpful to just be able to stare at something for a few minutes to see if you can put it together in your head. But yeah, I really thought, actually, someone talked about the pluses. You can also do it like this. Print, my name is plus name. And so you can build it with these plus symbols. You can say, and my age is plus age. Oh yeah, that's the end of it. So you can also build it like that if you'd like. You can see how that really sucks because you got to make sure you put in spaces and you've got to add it to this side and add it to this side, and same thing here. You got to add it all over, and it's pretty annoying. So if I run this, you can see here. Oh, whoops. Oh yeah. Sorry, you can't do this. We already learned that you can't do this because this is of type integer. But I'm just going to give you a sneak peek. We're going to talk about string coercion and typecasting and type coercion in a second. But I can make Python interpret this as a string rather than integer. And actually, I think it's just str and not string. I think I'm thinking of Golang again. Save that. And these are the same things here. So you can build out a string with the plus symbols, or you can format it using the format function or the F formatting that is here. 3 different ways to do the exact same thing. Not important that you remember how to do each of these things right now at all. What I want you to remember is that you can there are different ways that you can format strings. I want you to remember that string interpolation is a thing that if you want a string to spit out the value of the variable that it is, you need to use string interpolation in some way. So all three of these are kind of ways for string interpolation. So remember that word. Remember that only two strings can be concatenated. We talk about string concatenation, which is this first thing. And that's why we had to make this age a string, is because only strings can be concatenated, because concatenation is the process or the operation of combining two strings end to end. And those are the big things I want you to get of it: concatenation, interpolation, and formatting, and that you can format things. You can Google later, like if you're working on something and you're like, oh, well, I now know I have the tool that I now know that I can format some text. And I now know that I need to, like, there's this word because I need to make the value of a variable evaluate inside of my string. And you can look up string interpolation in Python, and you can, or variable interpolation in Python, and you can find your answer. So again, the concepts of what it is, don't sweat like knowing that the F has to be right here, or that dot format has to come right after the string, and I need an open quote and a closed quote and a comma. That's not, yes, pick those things up, but understand the concept before you understand the syntax of what you're doing. So we'll stop there for a second. I know someone already put the %s in there. I think the %s is going to be a little extra, a little confusing, but we can do one or two with the percent formatting as well. Let's see, some more stuff. There's also that format. Yeah, we did that format because you can prepare strings to be interpolated later. Yes, that is true. That is good information to share. You can also pass keyword arguments to that format. Yep. And there's also %s. So you can also do. We did this in Go yesterday. Actually, don't. Let me see if I remember the syntax for this. See, I did this working. I did this and it worked. Age equals 5. Print my age is comma age. Oh yes, I forgot it, man. So I actually think the comma. The comma formatting, I think that's new in Python. I do think that's new in Python. So I think you can do. Yeah, my name is plus name plus, and my age is comma age. I think this is something you can do, but I really think this comma is new. So it is a way that you can, it's not string concatenation. But what it is another method of formatting output. It evaluates this, and then it evaluates this because the comma sees print this print statement as having a second piece to it. And if I print that out, this will also work. But you can see how it adds an extra space in there because this is now like a new age is now like a new thing. I actually forgot about that, but I'm pretty sure that's relatively new. Yeah, and it only works for the print function. So if you're trying to build a string like in terms of a variable or something, you're trying to set a variable equal to like test equals this. Like you can't do this and this work. It only works for the print function. But yeah. Man, Python has, so now you can see the Python Zen stuff is even more wrong. Yeah, see, it doesn't interpolate it right. It just spits out exactly what we have here. Doesn't work. But see, there's no obvious one way to do anything. So that piece of the Python Zen thing was weird. So it was added in Python 3.7. I didn't know that. Yeah, so I knew. Okay, that makes me feel better that knowing it was new. Actually, someone only showed me that very recently. Like, we write our scripts in. Oh no, we got a falling light because my foot hit it. My foot hit the cord, and now that turned on my ugly fluorescent lights that are in the office that are motion activated that I try to keep off. But yeah, we write our scripts in We try to write them in Node because most of our developers know Node. But we've been doing a lot of stuff in Python lately because we've been doing a lot of like data processing script, a lot of like ETL scripts. And someone showed me that. I was like, oh, that's like pretty cool. I think Java, something that JavaScript has as well. But I did not know about it. It's pretty cool. So there are a bunch of ways. And that's why I don't want you to remember the syntax. That's why I want you to remember just knowing what you can do, knowing that you, again, string concatenation, variable interpolation, and string formatting, multiple ways to do it. I think we saw that when I Googled string formatting, we got all kinds of stuff. The F syntax here is the one that we chose, but maybe I'll share this. Python F strings. Is that all this is talking about here? Oh no, okay, so this talks about percent formatting. So it talks about some options. So I can't even share this because my my synergy's not working. I can't even share with you guys what's going on here. So let me try to set this up one more time. Start. Connected to server. Yeah, I got my mouse and keyboard back. All right. Mouse and keyboard are back. This is great. So now I can share with you this. Oh, somebody already shared it. Hey, thank you, Andrew Lane. Appreciate that. So check that out. And I actually want to say this might be something I have in the Google Classroom as well. But again, I use this GIF here because I want you to understand that string interpolation is the process of substituting values in the placeholders for the variable. Super important. Controlling the output, we just talked about the dot format versus the F print here over here. And what else do we have? What about input? So this is exciting. We've been talking about output this entire time. But how do you get input? What if you wanted to get input from the user? How would you go about doing that? And I didn't just share this, but in Python, we can ask for user input and we can capture that value into a variable. So read that sentence. We can ask for input, something we haven't done yet, and we can capture that into the value of a variable. So tonight we learned about variables. So what we can do, the same way that we assigned a value to the variable, the same way we assigned Aaron to the variable name, the value of Aaron to the variable name. Instead of giving it that value, we can capture input and assign that to a variable. So here's just a little thing. Yes, this clip is from Back to the Future. Good catch. I'm gonna start putting some more Easter eggs like that, some things that people can catch that are culturally relevant. But it is from Back to the Future. Good guess there. So value equals input. So this input function is how you get input. And basically, this is what you've seen before. This is how you assign a variable called val. So let's go ahead and try to do this ourselves. So we'll go in here and we'll remove this. And let's say we want someone's age. So age, instead of putting it in, maybe we want to ask the user for their age. So we say input. And then with the input function, you basically you basically can pass in a string that will be passed on to the user. So again, we want to type in, how old are you? Question mark, and then we'll do a colon and a space just because that's how people are used to inputting text. And we'll save it. So now basically this will cause the input function to run, and that will reach out to me as the user and ask me how old I am, and it'll sit and it'll wait for me to give it some input, for me to type in some data, and then it'll capture that data and it will put it into this variable age. And then all we need to do is, like, by default this will work, but it won't give us any information. And let's just go ahead and let's print you are. Let's use one of our formatting things we just learned. Let's put an F at the front, and let's say you are age years old. So again, dumb program, really dumb program. What it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, ask the user for some input, which states how old are you, so that the user knows what to put in. The user's going to put in that information. It's going to get stored to the value. It's going to be the value for the variable age. So it's going to get stored as the value for the variable age. And then we're going to go ahead and print you are age years old. So the age that we input, that is what we are going to print. And let's go ahead and see what happens here. So we run it. It is how old are you? And let's say we are 67 years old. And so it takes that in and it says, hey, you are 67 years old. Andrew Lane, that's very interesting, because that's actually what I expected it to output. You are not a number of years old, because I think the old I want to say the old input function, unless you change the value, only took in, no matter what you put in, it was a string. You had to typecast it to something else. Again, we're about to talk about typecasting in a second. Yes, I think in Python 3, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe there's something that's been available for a while, but you are not a number of years old. It's pretty funny. But in this input, I can put in anything here, and it'll just basically take that in and spit it out. There are some things you can do if you want to make sure it was a number or make sure it was a string. We could do some stuff like that, but very, very, very simple. Let's try that. Yeah, let's try the string 67. I am 67 years old. It's going to take whatever I pass to. If anyone has any, I cannot type. If anyone has anything you want me to put in there to see what happens when I put it in there, let me know. But yes, it'll basically, it takes my input and it sticks my input in the place of age. So it assigns it over here and it spits that out. So, I mean, it technically is a string. Yes, technically is a string. Yeah, whatever it takes in is a string. But I have seen output of that not a number if it's expecting, if you have it trying to expect a string or something like that. But yeah, you want me to put in none, the word none, it's just going to print that out. If you want me to put in nothing at all, nothing happens. Single ticks and escape characters. Let's try that. Let's go single tick. What do you want, a /? And I appreciate you all. You have taught me the difference between / and backslash in a way that I could properly remember. So we'll do single click, and then we will do, what does someone put? / or is it backslash? It looks like they're taken away. We'll do this, and whoops, that wasn't asking for my input. Let's see. Python single tick / let's do both ones. All right, let's do single tick / but this makes it a string, so we don't need to do that. Let's see what it does if we just stick some special characters in there. Again, I think it just takes all this and makes it a string, but you can accept input that way. It's pretty easy. It's pretty cool. So why would you want to do something like this? Again, you could write a program to say age, and again, you can get someone's name equals input what your name, and you can say you are 8 years old and your name is name. And so you can take multiple inputs here. And so when you run it, it says my name is, actually that's ugly. Let's give it a proper prompt. Get out of this. Let's clear this. And my name is Aaron and I'm 29. And now it prints out you are 29 years old and your name is Aaron. So you can see, you can grab multiple inputs. So you can run an application that takes all kinds of information from a user. Maybe you're writing a survey. Maybe you're writing, I don't know. There's a million reasons for this. Some type of form. You can take input. You can process it however you want. I'll show you something really dumb. Actually, I don't even know if F strings work like this, but can I do something like, I'm just trying some stuff out, and I'll tell you what that's doing if that works. Okay, it doesn't work. I wonder if I can. I mess around with that a little bit, but yes, you can. There's 20 ways I can do that. But you could write an application to tell somebody what age they're going to be in a certain year or something like that. But you can take that input and you can make it output, or you can just keep it. You don't have to output it. But this is a very simple way to go ahead and take in input from the user. Other programming languages like Go, it's not quite as easy to get input. I mean, it's not super hard, but it is not as easy as a simple input function to be able to get input from a user. So very, very simple to do. So what have we learned so far? The last thing we're gonna talk about tonight is typecasting and type coercion. So like I said, tonight will be a little bit short and we'll mess around with some stuff. But the last thing I wanna talk about is typecasting. But I wanna like just quickly recap what we've learned tonight so far. And the concepts and the topics that I want you to pick up. Like, oh, why is my keyboard's not working? That's how you do input, and oh, my keyboard's really not working. Why it's not plugged in? Okay, there we go. Wasn't plugged in all the way. Before we talk about typecasting and type coercion, before next class, we covered strings. What do we need to know about strings? Think double quotes, single quotes in Python, and whenever you see quotes, think strings, words and sentences. Think words and sentences, words and phrases. For strings, we learned that we can display output. So how do you display output? Simple. You just print it, just a print function here. And you can go ahead and print things. You can print just about anything. And that is how you get output to the screen. We learned about variables. We learned that variables were a placeholder for a value. They're a placeholder for value, and that you declare and you assign variables a value. And then you can reference that anywhere. We learned that variables can change. The word variable means that it can change. We learned that variables can change. Then we learned about string concatenation. String concatenation is combining two strings together. So combining them together end to end. Very simple, big word for a simple process. And how do you do that? You do it simply by adding them, using the plus symbol. The same way that you would add two numbers together, you can add two strings together. And remember, string concatenation only works for strings. And you just add them together and it plops them together. Then we learned about string interpolation. This is the process of substituting the value of a variable, of that placeholder, into a string. So we have a string and we want to use a variable, and we want it to read out that value rather than the name of the variable. We need to use a process called string interpolation. How do we do that? We did that through a couple different options of controlling output. Things like the F formatting, the F function here to format your stuff, or using the dot format function as well. Very similar. Remember, in the form, like when you're formatting, think about curly braces. Think about throwing your variables in curly braces. Whenever you see those curly braces, you probably want to think string interpolation. You probably want to think string formatting as well. Those are ways that you can control the output, and just knowing that you can control the output. Then we also learned that you can take on input. So you can get input from the user. You can ask for input. You basically use the input function, and you create a prompt of what you want the user to input, and you can assign that input to a variable, and you can do whatever you'd like with it afterwards. So that is high level everything that we've gone over tonight, because I think those things reside in the same wheelhouse. We're about to go over typecasting and type coercion, but that's more so leading into next time, and I think it's something good to get your mind around now. Fairly simple concept. You probably have to look up different ways to do it, to do different data types and data types that you can do and can't do, that are compatible and aren't. But typecasting and type coercion is pretty important, and we have enough time to kind of hop in it, and then we can play around a little bit if we want, or you guys can go ahead and ask questions. So what is typecasting and type coercion? Typecasting and type coercion, or type coercion, is basically it's basically getting the interpreter or the compiler to evaluate the type of something to be different. So what does that mean? We talk about data types again. What are some of the basic data types? Are strings and integers and floats and booleans being true, false. And so there are methods, there are functions and methods to allow you to try to get things to work together and to change the type, to cast types, to change types of different data types in your code. So let's say we had age. So we already know that we cannot simply just add a 5 and a string together. So I think we know that we can't do that. When we run it, we try to add the integer 5 and the string 5 together. Doesn't work. Unsupported operand types for plus, int, and string. Can't add them together. JavaScript will do that. JavaScript will do some it'll do some typecasting for you automatically. It'll go ahead and add those together. So you can do two things here. You can add strings together. Remember, we talked about string concatenation. So if we knew what we wanted to do and we wanted to concatenate strings, you can go ahead and you can use the str function to go ahead and change this, to have the application do its best to change this type into the desired type, that desired type being string, since we're using the str function. So basically it's going to evaluate this integer, do its best to convert it into a string, and add it to the string of 5. So what's the output here? When we do that here, I typed in slash. You get 55 because it basically turned this into a string. And again, we concatenated 5, the string of 5, and another string of 5. Put those two things together. What if we actually wanted to add those together instead? What if we really wanted to add integers, and we're trying to do some math here, and we wanted to do something like that? We wanted to do that. So you do int. You try to cast it to an int, an integer, or coerce it to be an integer. And let's try to print this out. And now instead of 55, we get 10. Why do we get 10? Because we haven't learned about math operations in Python yet. We'll learn about math operations, but I think it's fairly straightforward to realize that you can add numbers together and subtract them and multiply and divide them. And you can see here that when we typecast this string to an integer, it goes ahead and it evaluates it, and it goes ahead and it adds those two things together. Yeah, you can do other data types. Everything can't be coerced into a different data type. So like I wouldn't be able to, yes, I turned the string 5. Whoa. Yes, I turned the string 5 into an integer, but I can't turn the string like this into an integer. So again, that's why I said it will attempt to make those changes. So we'll save it, we'll run it, and it will fail because it says invalid literal for int with base 10 because it's something that it can't do. Pretty much everything can be typecast into a string, so you can do that. Hey, Original E, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, so you have to be careful with that, but for the most part, those are the two things that you're probably going to be doing: casting the ints and floats. I mean, ints and strings, maybe floats as well. Maybe you'll have to make this a float. I don't think you'll actually have to do this in Python, which will turn it into like 5.0. I think that's what it'll do. Let's see really quick. Yeah, so I turned it into a float here. So I added in a string and I turned it into a float, and it gave me 5.0. So there'll be times you have to do that as well when you're trying to do some math or something like that. You might have to do something like that. But I want you to see that you can actually, maybe a little more real world example of why you would need to do that is what we actually did before with name equals Aaron. Actually, I didn't even need the name here, and age and say equals 29. And maybe you just did some user input. So age equals input What is your age? And maybe you wanted to get, maybe you wanted to do a new age. Maybe this was an application that told you how old you're going to be next year. So maybe I wanted to say my new age, new underscore age equals age plus 1. So basically what's going to happen here is we're going to ask the user for their age. So I'm going to pass in whatever number, and then we're going to calculate a new variable. The new variable, the new age variable, is going to take the value of age and is going to add 1 to it, and that's going to tell me how old I am next year. And then we're going to print. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to print new age. So let's run this and see what happens. Why is this doing it? Okay. What is your age? My age, again, 29. And then when it goes and tries to calculate new age, it fails. Because again, you can only concatenate strings, not ints. So there might be times in your application where you have to go, hey, actually, I input takes in a string. I know that's a string. I need to go ahead and cast this to an integer so that I can do some math with it. And this will allow me to tell me how old I'll be next year. And it spits out 30. So, if I don't know why you would ever need to do something like this specifically, but there are times where you'll have to take in or pass in a string or take in a string for whatever reason. Again, like input takes in string by default, and you'll have to change it so that you can work with it properly. So that is why you would have to do some type of typecasting or type coercion. So a lot of topics tonight. Especially if you're new to coding. Tons of stuff. A lot of big words, concatenation, interpolation, all that stuff. Super confusing all at once, but hopefully you parsed out some of those things. Hopefully it wasn't too overwhelming. Hopefully that was a good pace. I do want people to start giving feedback on the pacing because I slowed this course down because when I taught Golang last time, again, I only did 2 days, but people were like, man, like that, like I didn't understand. I never even got past the installation. And I was like, that makes sense. That would make a lot of sense because I'm teaching this from the viewpoint of someone who's been working with these things for a long time. And when you really take a step back and remember what it took for you to get up to speed, I'm hoping the pacing of this is a lot better. And I'm hoping it's not too much. So let me know how you guys thought the pacing of this particular topic was. Good places to learn more. Cool. And that's the goal. So you will have to learn more outside of it. You will have to practice to pick up the concepts, but I'm hoping that the amount of concepts that I'm covering in a single night is a fair amount. And it's not too much. I'm not overjudging. I'm not underjudging. If I'm going too slow, I want to know as well. But yeah, I'm hoping there's a good pace. So if you're someone who knows a lot of this stuff, has been dealing with it for a long time, and it wasn't enough, we will get later on. We will be we'll get there later. We'll definitely get there later. But we're just kind of taking our time. We're gonna be covering strings. We're gonna be going over next class is all about data types. So, and just messing around with data types and learning the ins and outs. Next time we're going to be doing like all kinds of like string methods, all kinds of stuff. So like there's some cool stuff you can do with string, and I'll just show you really quick. Like what if someone passed in their name of like, let's see, input. No, this happens again. What is your name? Let's say a user keeps passing in their name lowercase. You can go name equals name dot upper. That feels right. I don't know. But there's some methods that you can do. We can look at some of them in a little bit, and we can print name, and we can run this. And my name is Aaron. I pass it in all lowercase, and it goes ahead and it uppercases it, so I can normalize it. So there's a lot of cool caveats and tips and tricks and functions and things that help you with each individual data type. So we're just going to go over some of that stuff and get you familiar with, again, all the cool things you can do with strings, all the cool things you can do with integers and numbers, and all the different things you can like do with booleans. And we'll talk about zero values and all kinds of stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. But oh yeah, someone said title. So if you just want to do the first letter, there's some cool things like this. And I'll pass in Aaron again, and it'll only capitalize my the first letter of my name, which is great. So there are a lot of cool things that you can do. And I think I think you'll start to see like, oh man, there's a lot of, yes, it may take me a while to really learn all the things that I can do, but I know, like, one, I'll share the resources with you. You'll start to know what the resources are, and you'll start to get in the mode of thinking like, all right, there's this thing I want to do. Let me check to see if there's already this thing that'll do it for me. You can kind of look for it. And it'll kind of teach you how to like, I guess you're just more familiar with all the things you can do. Because if you don't know what you can do with a tool, like all programming is picking up tools and then using those tools when necessary to solve a problem. If you don't know all the things you can do with a tool, like if you just thought a hammer was used to pound in nails, but you never learned that you could use it to also pry out nails, like you're only getting part of it. And like, how would you ever know that? Like, how would you ever learn that or think to use it in that fashion? Hopefully, if as I start to help you explore the things you can do with these different types and different tools, you can go ahead and learn how to use them more effectively. If you typecast your input as int after assigning, you can concatenate like string, but it will only take numbers. That is correct. I found out in VS Code, if you put your mouse on a variable, it will show you the type. Yes. So that was just like we were doing. Put our name over here. It'll tell you the type string. That is the reason why things like VS Code are really cool. What editors like VS Code are cool. Again, you saw my struggles with VS Code earlier. It is not my editor it is my editor of choice for 95% of the population. Vim is my choice for the other 5% of the population, to be 100% honest. And that is what I use. But yeah, VS Code's great. Are you familiar with Python, or are you learning it too? I'm familiar with Python. I've used Python to do a lot of different things. Just because the problem is I don't use it day to day. I don't use it day to day, so that like I don't. I use a bunch of different languages day to day. So like coming back to Python, sometimes I'm just like, I gotta check out this thing. Like, oh, how does this work over here? Just because again, like I work with Node a lot day to day now. Some personal projects and things like I do with Go, but like even Go I'm not heavily into nowadays. All kinds of different stuff, Bash, Ruby, like I'm touching a lot of things. So just sometimes you'll see me, especially like in the beginning now, you'll see me like, oh, like, can I do this? How do I do this? Or like, is this the syntax? I don't remember the syntax for Python. So if you see me doing that, that's purely just because I touch other languages a lot nowadays. So yeah. Pace for this class has been good. Cool. Learning Python also. Having issues with the terminal in VS Code. It defaults to PowerShell, but not Python. Okay, so I cannot run a program without hitting the play arrow as opposed to just typing out Python 3. So that can be a number of things. That can be that can have to do with the way that Python's installed. So try clicking the drop down and clicking select default shell, and then try clicking CMD, which is the command prompt if you're on Windows, and maybe try running it from the command prompt instead. So if you click your shell, so I'm actually going to go bash right here. I couldn't even overwrite. It sucks. Oh my, but try clicking this drop down, clicking select default shell. If you're on Windows, CMD should be in there. Try clicking CMD and then try typing in Python 3 test.py, and I think maybe that would work. Node is my go-to. Yeah, I mean, as much as I say I dislike JavaScript, I've grown to tolerate Node, and sometimes I enjoy it. Yeah, Node is a pretty cool language, for sure. So a lot of times you might see me basically do some stuff that's JavaScript related. I'll try that first. I'm like, oh wait, that's not Python. That's super weird. I guarantee you'll see that with Go as well. You'll see me type Go stuff. You'll see me try to set up a variable like this, with the walrus operator. You might see me do like this. Aaron, and you're like, what is he doing? the code will break, and then I'll explain to you what not to do. But I'll try to be cognizant of that going forward. Just one language at a time, please. Yeah. Yes. It can be confusing. Again, syntax is confusing. Again, that's why I tell you to focus on the concepts, not the syntax, because even it's hard. It's hard to remember the syntax, and that's when it gets really confusing. And that's why you'll see me mess up over and over again. But once you know the concepts, you can move between these languages super duper easy. You can use these languages to solve your problems once you pick up the concepts, once you understand the tools that are available to you. Yes, different languages have different sets of tools, but at their core, at the base level, they all have the same, for the most part, they all have the same functionality, the same base level of tools to be able to solve problems. So you can jump around from language to language and really get things done. So yes, when you understand variables, all those languages have variables. So when you go to a new language, you say, how do I set up a variable? Or how do I declare a variable? And how do I, what do I need to do to create a string? Is it double quotes? Is it single quotes? But just understanding what those things are makes it super duper easy. Python has walrus for ifs. Yes. So Python has the walrus operator, which is, again, the colon equals. I guess that looks like a walrus, like eyes and tusks. I actually read somewhere, heard somewhere that the walrus was the reason why the guy who started Python stepped down. He stepped down this year. I was told that. I don't know. I heard that was one of the big reasons why he stepped down was specifically for the walrus operator. Not sure. I haven't started putting that in my workflow yet. Because I just don't use Python as much right now. But that may change. That may change pretty soon. Again, the right tool for the job. But yeah, walrus and Python 3.8. It is in there now. Cool. All right, we only got 9 minutes left. Give people some opportunity to ask questions, but that is it for tonight. Definitely check out I believe the homework for if the homework and if the classwork in the Google Classroom hasn't released already, it should release. I can't remember if I set it to release at 10. Or before this, but you should see it. I think there's some good stuff in relation to this to kind of help you dive a little bit deeper. Not only will we be learning about data types and stuff next class, we'll also be hopping into exorcism, and we're going to start actually coding some problems. I think learning how to code is one thing, or learning code is one thing, but learning how to solve problems with code is, I think, the more valuable thing. It's actually relatively simple to learn a coding language. It's kind of like learning another Spanish or something, but with way less words. So not understanding the structure of Spanish isn't incredibly difficult. Yeah, it might be a little daunting at first. But you can pick up the structure. The hard part is one, getting enough words, getting a big enough vocabulary to be able to have a conversation, and putting it together on the fly. But luckily, coding, you don't have to put it together on the fly. That's why a lot of people can understand, languages, but can't speak it because their brains don't work fast enough to put together and conjugate verbs here and there and make things work while they're speaking. But they can understand it when someone's speaking to them. Coding, because we don't have to do it super crazy fast. You kind of pull that piece off of the table, and you can pick up all the different things the pieces you have to be able to speak that language. But yeah, I still don't have the Google Classroom link. I will send that directly to you. Ari Winokur, are you in? If you're in Slack, shoot me a message in Slack directly, and I'll get you the link to that. An email should have gone out. I send out an email every single day, every single class about it. So check your email, check the spam folder. It's from Twitch. So if you're a subscriber, you should have got it from Twitch. If not, join the Slack, shoot me a message, or if you are comfortable with Discord, join my Discord. Let me give you the link to Discord. But I think if you do the integration, I think if you use the integration, it'll allow you. But I think you only can get into the Discord, or you can only stay in the Discord if you're a subscriber. So that is the Discord link. Let me add that. I think I added that as a chat command, didn't I? Discord. No, I did not. I'll add it as a chat command right now. What is it? Commands, add Discord. This feels right. All right, so now you can type in Discord if you need it, and it should give you the Discord link. I don't know how long that's good. Oh no, it expires in 1 day. Maybe I can make it not expire, never expire. Maximum number of uses, no limit. Generate a new link, copy. Let's go ahead and do that again. Delete Discord. All right, and then commands, add Discord, never expiring link. I spelled commands wrong. And yes, there we go. So now you should be able to get the Discord link if anyone wants to join the Discord. That's probably going to be the safest way to share information. So if you want to hop into there, you can go ahead and hop into there. But that is it for tonight. If anyone's doing the DevOps bootcamp, if anyone doesn't know, again, we're running 2 bootcamps in tandem. The DevOps one, which is Sunday, Tuesday. This one, which is Monday, Wednesday. Tomorrow on the DevOps one, we're going to be diving deeper into Golang. So we're going to get into the logical stuff. So now we're going to be talking about, we're making decisions in our application. So if-else statements, for loops, all that stuff. And we're going to hop into exorcism as well there. We're going to we're gonna learn all the fizz buzzy stuff. We're gonna learn how to solve some algorithm problems on there tomorrow. So if you're interested in any of that, if any of that interests you, you can definitely check that out. I need to make a slide command. Today's slides, 22 helper. If you're in the Google Classroom, the slides should be released in there as well. But I can also, let me see if I can find the link. Clipboard. Should be above this, should be above this. This feels right. Try this 22 helper. Oh, that didn't work. That it will not let me, actually, let's do this. I bet it'll work if I paste it. And then if I click it and I copy it. Yeah, we're hacking, we're hacking. Those are slides today. Yep, those are slides today, 22 helper, so enjoy those. Besides that, yeah, if anyone's never used, so I don't know if anyone else has a need for this, but I really like this, whatever this, the Synergy program is, being able to use 2 different computers at once, like it's really, really nice. Like just being able to move my mouse down to my other computer and have mouse and keyboard on there is super duper nice. Only reason, someone's asked me that before, the last time I did the Python one, or not Python, I've never done the Python one, the DevOps bootcamp, I did everything through a VM on here. The problem with that is we saw times where if we downloaded big packages, large packages, or we uploaded large packages, it would cause the stream to basically die every single time. And we didn't want that to happen this time because we will often be downloading packages, often be downloading things. And so I'm running this through like a capture card. And this is a Linux laptop that I run through a capture card. So that we don't get any issues like that. I also did get Ethernet installed today. That was one of the things. I'm not using Ethernet, so if you saw it cut out a couple times, maybe it did. But I do have Ethernet now. I just got to get an Ethernet cable. I don't actually have an Ethernet cable, so I should have some more consistent, reliable streams now. Because the Wi-Fi here can be a little bit spotty, even though it is fast. It can be a little bit spotty, so that should be good to go. But yeah, so tonight, actually I wanted to figure out how to do, can I do a poll? Let's see something. I'm just learning some new things about Twitch. I know you can do some things like this. Cool question. So I think at the end of every stream, what we're going to do is, yeah, it's 9:59, 10 o'clock. We're all done. You can sign up if you need to, but, I'm going to try to, take everyone from here to someone that is running chats inside of, or running streams inside of the, let's browse, inside of the science and technology category within Twitch. So I think it's important to check out different people. They can spark a passion in something else, or they can teach you something that I can't teach you, or I don't know, you just might find someone you like. So we'll start taking a look at some of the people who are streaming. I know I took you guys to the Primesian once, but maybe we'll grab some people, and maybe we'll vote on it really quick, see where you guys want to go. What do these look cool? Now, wherever we go, I don't know if people are going to be, if they're safe, if they're like family friendly, but we're just gonna go. This guy's doing some this guy's doing some DevOps. So let's check out this guy. So maybe Code Phobia. Do you guys want to go here? Open source version of Synergy. Not that I know of. I do not know of an open source version of Synergy. Where do you all want to raid? So we got Code Phobia there. Let's go a little bit higher, some stuff. People like game dev. I don't know. I want to learn some game dev. Open source programming. We'll vote. I know most people will step out here, but I like to send you somewhere. Let's pick somebody with 0 viewers right now. I think that's always fun. That would make my day if I didn't have anyone watching. Let's check this person out, and let's add one more. Something a little bit weird. Let's see. Cryptocurrency. Maybe we'll go over here. It's just fun. I just want to mess around with the poll things. I've never used polls before, so I'm gonna start poll. Does not meet guidelines. So this person does not meet guidelines. So actually you'll get 3 people because I just wanted to, oh man, content does not meet guidelines. I don't know what this means. Maybe I'm not allowed to do, I don't know. Somebody doesn't meet our guidelines. So now you guys get 2 people. Service error, try again. Poll is already active. I guess there's a poll. I don't know if it's working or not. I just wanted to test out the functionality. Oh, cool. You only get 2 options. I don't really know the differences between the 2. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid somebody in a second. Won't be available for that long. I don't see a poll. It shouldn't have showed up at the top. I see it on... It should have showed up at the top of your chat. Maybe if you're on mobile. I don't know. I don't know if you can vote on mobile. But that might be good to know for later. So it looks like there's a single vote in now. I was really hoping the Primesian was on tonight. What's today? He's usually on, but I actually don't even know how to see the output of a poll either. On desktop, but no poll showing. Interesting. So I can see it on my man. I see one person voted. I'm not sure how to get it. Try refreshing. If you're on desktop, try refreshing for me real quick. See if it pops up. I would be interested. If you're on mobile, I don't think you can actually vote. But I also can't see the poll anymore. I can see that one person voted, but I can't see the output of the poll. All right. It's just something I want to try out anyway, just to see. We'll figure out how to use a poll later. I'm trying to add to my Twitch knowledge. I'm trying to add to my Twitch knowledge. It sucks because now you can see it, and maybe I did it from my OBS, and now I can't see it. All good. We're just gonna go to that first person's page. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and raid them. Thank you everyone for. Actually, can I raid from here? Raid. We'll let me paste this stuff in here. So thanks everyone for joining in tonight. Hopefully you got something out of that. Again, focus on the concepts, hop into the Google Classroom. If you don't have the Google Classroom link, message me either in the Discord or in Slack. I will get you the link that you need to get in there. Yeah, but have a good night. Practice, give yourself some time. Remember, 5 hours a week outside of these classes. Practice, mess around. Like, you don't have to be building anything, but just mess around. Start printing out some things. See what happens when you change this. See what happens when you type a character here. See what happens when you put something in between something. Play around and just start to get comfortable. But yeah, sign up in Discord you can grab the Discord from there. If you're a subscriber, I'm gonna throw the information. I'm gonna pin the information in general for the Google Classroom on how to get into it, so that anyone who hops in at any time can get to it. But cool, let's go ahead and let's raid Code Phobia. Everybody have a good night. I'll see everyone who does DevOps tomorrow. I'll see everyone else on Wednesday. I prefer messages in Slack. I prefer messages in Slack for now, but I will probably be more heavily moving to the Discord a little bit later, but Slack for now. Well, cool. Everybody have a good night. Nope, I lied to you. I can't take you over to Code Phobia because this person is only mature. Oh, okay, now I understand. Can't take you to Code Phobia, so we're gonna browse someone new. I'm just gonna take you to the top. Hacking in Python. Look at this. This person's hacking in Python. We're gonna go over to Downright because we just learned some Python. All right, hopefully this works. It's also intended for mature audiences. Can I not? Does that just mean I can't do? Does that mean I just can't do it? Like this, I don't understand. I can't send anyone to mature audience sites because mine isn't set for mature audiences. All right, well, we're about to not go to anybody's real fast. This guy's making games. He's the last chance. If this doesn't work, you guys can go to sleep. You can go to sleep anyway. But I like to rate at the end. Try Go Pirate Software. Sure. Ashby raid. All right, there we go. Now you're going to Go Pirate Software. Everybody have a good night. Tell them I said hello. I'll say hi, then I'll be out of here. I got to go home, get some sleep. Everyone have a good night. Peace. Right now, I don't know if I sent you over there or not, but